Hey guys, what's up? And it's Maverick here with another episode of Code Geass. So, last episode, we had some pretty big revelations, right? The one didn't really go forward as I was expecting. I'm talking about the archaeological site there, which apparently has something to do with the fault elevator, which probably will give us much more insight into, what the Britannian Empire is all about, what the Emperor is trying to do. Is there like a higher power or something like that? And, potentially it also has to do with what C2 is and the Geass abilities and all that sort. I don't know if we're going to get a little bit further to that, but right now it seems that there's other trouble brewing here, which is apparently an invasion of Japan by the former Japanese forces. I guess you can't really say it's an invasion in that kind. Retaking of Japan by the former Japanese forces or something like that. I actually thought those were Chinese Federation at first, and they could still be. Like maybe they just have false markings or whatnot. Or I guess the easiest explanation would be that they're either part of the Kyoto forces, or maybe they are the remnants of some resistance forces that went to the Chinese Federation, right? Something of that sort, similar to how during World War II with the French and so on and so forth. But anyways, I guess we'll know once we get into it. So let's get into it. All right, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Kyushu, Kyushu. The west of Japan. Okay. Right. So again, similar to the French resistance forces in World War II. Well, I'd say maybe it's a chance? Although, I think the implications are a little bit more complicated though, because this might mean that the faction within the Black Knights that are, that are entirely bent on the preservation and revival of Japan might leave towards their forces, right? Yeah, I'm talking about those dudes. Because I'm pretty sure their allegiance does not lie with Lelouch, with Zero, but rather, their own beliefs here. So yeah, I think that's the biggest issue right now. Is there going to be like internal strife within the Black Knights due to this kind of development? The battle for Kyushu. With the collaboration of the Chinese Federation. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Like they aren't in active war, right? So how can they so blatantly support, an armed engagement on Britannian soil? So I guess technicalities is how they're going to go about it.
守られて、殉職者やイレブンの人たちを横目に一人だけ。そんな自分にこんな資格は。
資格なんて私だって。
I mean, wasn't that what you're fighting for? Suzaku?
損害が大きすぎます。この天候では空も使えませんし、上陸作戦は天候が安定してからかと。
強行ですな、暴風雨とは。今のうちに九州をまとめられる。
さあ将軍、天が味方している。勝ちますよ、この戦は。
戒厳令は必要ないよ。市民を不安にさせるだけだからね。 EU のガンドルフィ外相に親書を。ああ、それとカンボジアのトロモ機関に。
シュナイゼル殿下、トロモは
So just because Shinaizo is here? No, Prime Minister.
お手伝いできることはありませんか？エリア11の副総督として私も。
ありがとう。その気持ちだけで十分だ。
How does that work?
何もさせるなと総督のご命令です。
How do you have a viceroy and a prime minister at the same time?
それは違います。クルルギの件は私も。
分かってあげなよ、ユーフィー。こんな時だからコーネリアにも余裕がないんだよ。
それは。
ダールトン、さっきの件だけど、私の知り合いがルートを持っている。頼んでみるよ。
わかりました。
And Yuffie doesn't just want to be a figurehead. She wants to do actual work.
そんな問題じゃないっしょ。戦争だよ。
戦争って。
間に亡命政権を挟んでいるだけで、これは中華連邦との戦争だって。
そんな。ミーナ、美術館から借りる予定の屋外ブースは？あ、今日手続きに。できればその後科学庁に寄りたいんだけど。それって例のプレゼント？
え、プレゼントって？
欲しいものがあって頼んだらくれるってロイド先生が。
ロイド？あの女っていいそんなこと言っても3人分やってんだよ。スザクは軍隊、カレンは病院、残ったバカは雲隠れ。ああ、なんか変わっちまったよな、ルルーシュのやつ。
驚きました。まだ混乱しています。ルルがあのゼロだなんてまだ誰にも言ってません。ルルに会って直接確かめたいから。あれは私が書いたものなの？どうして私は忘れているの？ナナちゃんのお兄さんのゼロのこと。
Yeah, how exactly is... Oh, never mind. Like, that plan was flawed from the beginning.
フロートシミュレートもトップクラスよ。
ありがとうございます。
ねえ、どうして騎士を辞めようと思ったの？
それはユーフェミア公女殿下はこんな僕でも認めてくれたんです。だから迷惑をかけるとあの人が自分自身を嫌ってしまいそうな、そんな気がして。
お飾りの副総督。
Yeah.
それは最初から分かってたし、でもやれることを頑張ろうと思ったのに。ごめんなさい、クロビス兄様。ゼロにあったんですけど敵取れませんでした。でもルルーシュやナナリーを救う方法も思いつかなくて。私にはお姉様やシュナイゼル兄様のような力はありません。どこへ行っても足手まといで、気がついたらわがままばかり。お姉様に逆らって騎士を選んでみたのですが、返されちゃいました。
ああ、聞いてはいるけど、今日は書類手続きだけでいいよね。中は皇族の方がご観覧中で。
Oh.
どなたですか？
So what exactly... Like, what is that side story about to entail?
沢崎とは合流し、あれは独立ではなく傀儡政府だ。中華連邦のな。
Ah.
日本を名乗っている。
名前と主君が変わるだけ。未来はない。無視するべきだ。あの日本。
でもさ、それってブリタニアの行動も放っておくのか？
ゼロ、組織としての方針を明確にしておいた方が。
そうだな。沢崎の件は置いておくとしても、当面の目的ぐらいは東京に独立国を作る。
独立？
国を？本気か？俺たちが国って。
Tokyo? Huh.
なるほど。いや、
This guy.
いくら
They say it's, you know, one Greek flame that sparks a revolution. Which definitely means that they are more than just a little bit aided by the Chinese Federation. They have this kind of military power. Railgun time? Oh wait, when did Kurugi become a major? Did I just not pay attention to that? Boom. Oh wait, the railgun is used for launching Lancelot? Alright, fine. A bomber. Ah, yeah, because, yeah, I didn't even realize that. You know, the second in command of Suzaku's father. Are you really using attack helicopters as anti-air? Like, seriously. So is this side story going to be how Yuvi gets back on her feet? No, what? Yeah.
会話だけで気をそらすとはまだまだ青い。
Yeah.
ルフィ
シュナイゼル兄様、プライベート通信の許可をください。
Suzaku?
エナジーフィラーがああフロートまで壊れたって。
このアバロンを直接基地に。
無理無理、全方位シールドじゃないんだからこっちが落とされちゃうよ。
スザック、エナジーを戦闘と通信に絞り込んで。
はい。
投稿したまえスザク君。クルルギ玄武首相の維持として丁重に扱うことを約束するよ。
お断りします。ここで父の名を使ったらもう自分を許すことができない。
そうか、似ているな君は。強情なところが父親そっくりだよ。
クルルギスザク。
Yep.
ユーフェミア様。
スザク、私はあなたを
今は
私を好きになりなさい。
What?
いいえ、プライベートでして。その代わり、私はあなたを大好きになります。
ユーフェミア様。
スザク、あなたの堅くななところも優しいところも、悲しそうな瞳も、不器用な笑顔も、猫に食べれちゃうところも、だから自分を嫌わないで。
そうか、かえって心配させちゃったんだ。あなたって人はいつもいきなりで。
Hey, that's what makes it dramatic, right?
学校を決めるとき、僕を記事に選んだときもいつだって。
そうです、いきなりです。いきなり気づいちゃったんですから。
でもそのいきなりのたびに僕は扉を開けられた気がする。ありがとう。
何をしている？奴を止め
The
ろ！
power of love.
お願いをしてもいいですか？最後、僕に何かあっても自分を嫌いにならないでください。あとその時は僕の存在を全て消してもらえると。友達に迷惑はかけたくないから転校したことにでもしてください。
スザク、まさか。
もうエナジーがつきました。ああ、いけない。セシルさんやロイ
Let me think. It's gonna be Lelouch who saves his ass.
最後まで独りよがりだったな、僕ら。
スザク、死なないで。生きてて。
Oh.
なんだ今のは。レーダーに反応。いきなり現れました。ステルスか。
Oh. It's actually the out. Huh? Oh, yeah. Yep. It's Lelouch. Ah, no, wait, it's C2. Oh, damn. Oh, no. Lelouch is here as well.
短期で本陣を拡大しイレギュラーを作る。失敗してもコーネリアは動きやすい。この策、シュナイセルか。邪魔なんだよ君たちは。
ハドロー法は未完成のはずじゃ。
収束できてる。僕が完成させるはずだったのに。
His pride as an engineer.
でもフロートシステムの開発は私の負け。やっぱり相手はプリン伯爵か。思わぬ共同作業ね。ああ、気持ち悪い。
Yeah, these two are perfect for each other.
クルルギオ、ランスロットはまだ動くか。やはりゼロか。
ゼロだと。オープンチャンネルだな。はい、音を拾え。目的を確認する。
エナジーフィラー。私は今から敵の司令部を叩く。君はどうする？
何？
残念だけどゼロ。お前の願いは叶わない。自分が先に叩かせてもらうよ。
Okay. So there's a different. Okay. Dang. And then we got the BGM as well. I don't think that's quite the correct logic. Obviously. And Yuffie is overjoyed. I have to agree here. That's the correct thing to do. But, you know, unfortunately, you are on the side of the antagonist right now. Liaodong, eh? Northeastern part of China. Yay! Alright. Alright. Well, see you guys after this. Well, there is so much to talk about for this episode. Let's get the easy stuff out of the way first. For one, I absolutely love that we saw C2 in, in uniform and piloting one of the nightmares. I do believe that one of the highlights of the series is in seeing all the various outfits that C2 gets herself into. So that's a huge 2 thumbs up from me, and that was pretty damn awesome. And then we also got the fated reunion of Lelouch and Suzaku, right? And not just a reunion, but an actual, a reunion on the battlefield. I mean, technically, Suzaku doesn't know who Zero is yet, but I think this is definitely a pretty hype moment overall. So seeing these two finally combine once again on the battlefield, even though they are on different sides and whatnot, but still fighting together, right? So that was definitely a great plus as well. And you can just feel it coming, right? They even had the BGM and all, right? The song playing in the background while these two, tore up the place and whatnot. I mean, yeah, golf clap for that. In regards to the entire, what's his name again? Sawasaki? Right? The former, cabinet minister or whatever he's called. In regards to that entire situation, I have to say I'm kind of sympathetic for him in a way. I don't think he did anything wrong, right? Making a strategic retreat during that time, is certainly, I think, the more viable choice instead. Now, granted, you could also argue that knowing the nature of the Japanese people, especially considering I do assume that this is also coming from a more World War One, World War Two kind of era Japanese, having that kind of warrior's code and all that, that kind of honor and pride and so on and so forth. Doing this sort of strategic retreat might not be exactly viewed as favorable, but I don't think there's anything wrong about that, right? And even though they're sort of portraying him in a way like he's kind of not really fully convinced that what he's doing is the right thing as well, I'm sure that nobody is going to, for example, consider General de Gaulle a traitor to his country, right? The leader of the Free French forces from Britain. He eventually did manage to utilize his allies' powers to free France, and then eventually, re-establish his country, right? So, there's more than enough precedence for this, and I do think that is a sound decision overall. It's just that, again, unfortunately, he's on the other side of our two protagonists of this series, right? I find it pretty interesting that Zero was able to convince Toto and the others, basically just saying that, hey, they're puppets of the Chinese Federation and all that. I guess it might be a little bit different in this case than from World War II. Maybe Japan, before it was invaded, was not exactly an ally with the Chinese Federation and all that. Maybe they weren't exactly on good terms and so on and so forth. So the decisions would be a little bit more questionable, right? But, it's... I don't know. I don't think there's a really in any case, what I'm trying to say here is I don't really think that Suzaku's accusations really had any sort of meaning behind them. But hey, he is part of the main cast, so we gotta listen to what he has to say, right? And it always it's more of an outcome based kind of thing. He lost, so Suzaku is in the right, etc., etc. Lelouch having his plans for reestablishing a new independent nation and all that. I mean, yeah, we all know that his one true goal is to overthrow the Britannian Empire, right? So whatever. If establishing that leads to overthrowing or fighting against the Britannians, then of course he's going to do it. So I'm not going to comment too much on that part. But again, it's going to make the entire geopolitical situation a lot more fun, especially now that the Chinese Federation probably also considers Lelouch not exactly an ally that they can count on, right? So, which in the grand scheme of things, I do wonder if this was the correct decision, right? At the very least, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say here. I actually hadn't really thought this through yet, but consider this, right? If the Chinese Federation does eventually get into a full-on, say for instance that half of Japan are recaptured by these new forces, and it's very clear that the Chinese Federation are the ones behind them. When this actually, brew an actual war between the Britannian Empire versus the Chinese Federation, and, as somebody who just wants to topple the Britannian Empire, I think this would actually be a great opportunity to gain a powerful ally. You don't even have to like them, right? You just utilize them to weaken your enemy. So, I don't know, but I guess Lelouch probably has some other kinds of things that he's planning. Maybe he dislikes the entire the entire prospect of utilizing a third nation's power. Maybe he doesn't really want to ignite World War. I don't know what World War they're on, World War III, World War II, or something of that sort, or heck, maybe even the First World War. And we don't know if they went for a World War, right? And so on and so forth, right? So yeah. I don't know. Maybe some of you guys can comment on that as well. But I do feel like maybe this was a kind of missed opportunity to rope the Chinese Federation in and instead use their resources and their power to further Lelouch's own goals, right? What else to talk about? The entire Yuffie situation here. So I guess that's the grand result of that entire Nina side story. They certainly have been hinting or been laying the groundwork for that a long time now, and so perhaps this is the culmination of it, which is to get Princess Yuffie back on her feet, and also to as a domino effect get Suzaku back on his feet as well, which maybe they'll all be related somehow, and further impact the story in some sort of way, right? Because obviously Yuffie and Suzaku are important characters, and also close to Lelouch and all. So I guess it all kind of matters together in the end, right? Or, you know, honestly, it went better than I expected, especially considering Nina's, you know, her enthusiasm for Yuffie, let's put it that way. It actually went way better than I expected. So, hey, props to her, right? At least, she helped Yuffie get, you know, get back on her feet. Now, in regards to what she said with Suzaku, I was actually wondering, like, does she actually mean love as in love, or more in you know, an adoration, you know, love as in a platonic love kind of way? I'm not quite sure right now. Perhaps it's romantic love, perhaps platonic, but no, I guess we'll have more time to develop that in the future here. And what else? I mean, the weapons, not really too much to say. Oh, one thing that you know, it doesn't really matter that much, but I thought it was kind of interesting was the scene where Yuffie went up to find Shizuo, right? And she mentioned his title. She referred to his title as Prime Minister. Now at that point, I was like, wait, what? There's a Prime Minister of this country? But then I realized that they were actually talking about the Prime Minister of the Empire, right? So they're following essentially. I'm not sure if the ancient Japanese system utilized this sort of government, but the ancient Chinese imperial system certainly used this sort of government, at least for many of the dynasties anyways, where you have the emperor, who is obviously, you know, the one above all and whatnot, and then you have essentially what is the leader of the court, if you will, and that would be the prime minister. So I think that's the prime minister that they were referring to, right? Because I went back and listened to Japanese, and it certainly is more of the prime minister in an imperial role rather than one in I mean, I guess technically nowadays Japan still has you guys go what I mean. It's still kind of different, right? Because right now Japan is considered a constitutional monarchy, which has different definitions and different roles for the prime minister versus one which is pure imperial power, and what the prime minister's role is in that regard, right? So quite different, and honestly, it adds I want to say that it adds a kind of different dynamic here, but you know, at the very least, we can say that, you know, this guy is definitely the second highest ranking person in the entire Britannian Empire, right? So he's a big deal, right? There is in China, there's an old saying here that the role of the prime minister is basically below 1 person but above 10,000, which is, you know, in essence saying that the prime minister is the highest ranking after the emperor, right? And the emperor is of course the emperor. So I thought that was a kind of fun and sort of hint there at his actual status within the empire here, if that makes sense. Anyways, that was just a kind of a side note, but you know, really interesting episode here. And in the next one, you know, I guess Lelouch is going to have to start to deal with the repercussions of his actions and you know, sort out his who are his allies, who are his enemies, and what he wants to do next. And then obviously we got the entire Shirley stuff as well, the Beletta stuff we haven't figured out yet, and well, there's so much things to do, right? Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.